If you own a semi-automatic rifle, carry a firearm in your car, or live in Virginia or Colorado, I need you to stop what you are doing and watch this right now. Because between now and July 1st, 2026, which is fewer than 90 days away, multiple new laws are going into effect that could get you arrested, fined up to $2,500, thrown in jail for up to 1 year, and permanently stripped of your right to own any firearm for 3 full years, all for doing something that is completely legal today. This is not speculation. This is not political commentary. Every single law I am going to walk you through today has already passed through a state legislature, is already sitting on a governor's desk awaiting a signature, or is already in effect. The sources are the Virginia General Assembly records, official legislative databases, verified legal analysis, and reporting from VPM News, Fox News, WSLS, ARL Now, and the NRA-ILA. Let's get into it. Let's start with the biggest story, Virginia. The Virginia General Assembly has passed Senate Bill 749, legislation that prohibits the purchase, sale, manufacture, importation, or transfer of certain firearms defined in the bill as assault firearms, along with restrictions on large-capacity ammunition feeding devices. The bill now awaits the signature of Governor Abigail Spanberger. Governor Spanberger is widely expected to enact the new regulations into law. If signed, the restrictions would take effect on July 1, 2026. Here is the critical detail every Virginia gun owner needs to understand right now. While the legislation will not criminalize possessing assault-style weapons obtained before the July 1, 2026 effective date, any future import, sale, manufacturing, purchase, or transfer of an assault-style gun after that date would lead to a Class 1 misdemeanor. And what exactly is a Class 1 misdemeanor in Virginia? Violating the law is classified as a Class 1 misdemeanor, punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a fine of up to $2,500. But it gets worse. Anyone convicted of violating the assault firearm restrictions will be prohibited from purchasing, possessing, or transporting any firearm for 3 years following the date of conviction. Violating that prohibition would also be classified as a Class 1 misdemeanor. So if you buy, sell, or transfer a restricted firearm after July 1st, you face jail time, a $2,500 fine, and then a 3-year total ban on owning any gun at all. One transaction, one mistake, 3 years of being a prohibited person. Now let's talk about what specifically is being banned. The bill defines assault firearms to include certain semi-automatic rifles, pistols, and shotguns with specific features or magazine capacities, such as weapons with detachable magazines or features like folding stocks, pistol grips, or threaded barrels. The legislation would prohibit the sale, transfer, manufacture, and importation of semi-automatic centerfire rifles and pistols that can hold more than 15 rounds after July 1, 2026. This ban would also cover ammunition feeding devices, meaning magazines, that can carry more than 15 rounds. And here is something that most people have not heard. Virginia simultaneously passed a companion bill. House Bill 217 bans certain semi-automatic firearms, including many semi-automatic rifles, pistols, and shotguns, and arbitrarily limits magazine capacities. It also prohibits possession by legal adults under the age of 21. HB 2117 was enrolled on March 30, 2026, just days ago, and creates a Class 1 misdemeanor for any person who imports, sells, manufactures, purchases, or transfers an assault firearm, and prohibits a person convicted of such violation from purchasing, possessing, or transporting a firearm for a period of 3 years from the date of conviction. The impact on Virginia gun stores is already being felt. Mitchell Tyler, co-owner of Safeside in Roanoke County, said his store is selling firearms that will be banned to people who never thought they would own one. They see that a right is about to be taken, and they don't want to be on the other side of July 1st without something that they may need to use to protect themselves or their family, he said. AR-15-style rifles account for roughly 30% of the store's firearm sales. State residents are already responding. Data from Virginia's adjusted NICS background checks in February 2026 showed 65,501 checks compared to 42,193 For February 2025, a jump of 55%. Gun rights groups are not staying quiet. Firearms Policy Coalition President Brandon Combs said, "We will not hesitate to sue to defend Virginians against their authoritarian government if Governor Abigail Spanberger signs this anti-gun bill into law." The National Shooting Sports Foundation's Mark Oliva confirmed his organization would be on the courthouse steps to file a lawsuit the moment the governor signs. The assault weapons bill is getting all the attention, but Virginia passed over 15 pieces of gun legislation in just 60 days, and some of the others are going to catch people completely off guard. Democrats passed bills to make it a Class 1 misdemeanor to have a firearm at hospitals that provide mental health or developmental services and at college campuses, with exceptions for on-duty law enforcement and others. Lawmakers also approved a bill to make it a Class 4 misdemeanor, which comes with up to a $250 fine, to leave a handgun unattended in a vehicle unless it is out of plain view and in a locked container such as the glove compartment or center console. Think about that for a moment. If you leave your legally owned handgun on the passenger seat of your locked car and someone sees it, that is now a criminal offense in Virginia. Thousands of gun owners do this every single day without knowing the law has changed. Senate Bill 727 prohibits carrying assault firearms in public places, including streets, sidewalks, and parks. Because of vague definitions, SB 727 effectively criminalizes carrying any centerfire semi-automatic firearm in the Commonwealth. Another bill would create new state crimes for people with ghost guns, homemade firearms without serial numbers that can go undetected through security lines and X-ray machines. And the red flag law is being expanded too. House Bill 901 expands the Commonwealth's red flag law to broadly expand parties who can file emergency risk protective order petitions to a court to suspend a person's Second Amendment rights and to order the seizure of that person's guns, despite that person never having been charged with or convicted of a crime. Such orders, based on weak and nebulous standards, can be issued before the gun owner is provided the opportunity to be heard or to present evidence. Segment 3, Colorado, August 1st deadline approaching, 7:30 to 10:30. Now let's shift to Colorado, because if you thought Virginia was aggressive, Colorado's law takes it even further. Starting in August 2026, the manufacture, sale, and purchase of certain semi-automatic firearms that can accept detachable ammunition magazines will be outlawed in Colorado. That will include AR-15 and AK-47 rifles, as well as a long list of their popular variants. Senate Bill 3 will also affect tactical shotguns and a small number of handguns. Violating Senate Bill 3 is a Class 2 misdemeanor punishable by up to 120 days in jail and a fine. Subsequent offenses, however, are a Class 6 felony punishable by up to 18 months in prison. Possession of a rapid-fire trigger device is now a Class 5 felony, punishable by up to 3 years in prison. And critically, Coloradans will not be able to avoid the new restrictions by buying a gun in another state. Federal law requires firearms dealers to abide by the laws of the state where the buyer lives. Beyond state laws, there is significant movement at the federal level too, and it cuts in both directions. On the restrictive side, violating the federal gun law that bars people with drug addiction from possession of firearms is a crime punishable by up to 15 years in prison. And as we covered in a previous video, the ATF's new interim final rule took effect January 22, 2026, redefining who qualifies as an unlawful drug user for background check purposes. But on the other side, the Trump administration is simultaneously pushing to restore gun rights for people who were previously prohibited. The Trump administration is moving to revive a long-dormant federal gun rights restoration process and turn it into a sweeping national program that could eventually manage up to 1 million applications a year. The DOJ anticipates staffing as many as 50 full-time employees and creating an online portal for applications. A federal appropriations package passed in late 2025 also includes provisions protecting veterans' firearms rights by requiring additional due process before the Department of Veterans Affairs may report a veteran with a fiduciary to the federal prohibited person system. These protections are expected to be fully implemented in 2026. Let me give you the 3 hard deadlines you need to have burned into your memory right now. July 1st, 2026. Virginia's assault weapons ban and companion bills take effect. If you want to buy an AR-15, AK-47, or any semi-automatic rifle with a detachable magazine in Virginia, you have fewer than 90 days left. After July 1st, buying or selling one is a Class 1 misdemeanor, up to a year in jail, a $20,500 fine, and a 3-year gun ban. August 1st, 2026, Colorado's semi-automatic ban kicks in. After that date, manufacturing, selling, or purchasing an AR-15, AK-47, or any similar semi-automatic rifle with a detachable magazine in Colorado becomes a criminal offense, starting with misdemeanors and escalating to felonies for repeat violations. June 30th, 2026, the ATF's comment period on its new drug user definition closes. If you have opinions about who should be classified as a prohibited person under federal firearms law, this is your window to submit formal written comments to the agency. As one Virginia gun store owner put it, "We're selling firearms that will be banned to people who never thought they would own one. They see that a right is about to be taken, and they don't want to be on the other side of July 1st without something they may need to use to protect themselves or their family." The window is closing fast. Share this with every gun owner you know. Subscribe. And stay locked in, because the next 90 days will determine what millions of Americans are legally allowed to own for years to come.